Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are listening in around the world. I'm Sean Hewitt, and this is the Trusted Business Community Association's Simply Tech Talk meeting. Today, we're joined by some amazing business owners from around the community, and we're also joined by Lewis Hallam, who is our keynote speaker today. Lewis is from Lemieux, and he is the guy who can get you not so much reach, but make sure that you get your message out there and get the opportunity to get trading. So, without further ado, Lewis, if you'd like to share your screen and start your presentation. Thanks ever so much.
Yep, thank you very much, Sean. I'm just sharing my screen now. Can you just let me know that you could see that? Just a thumbs up. Fantastic. Okay, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate it. So my name's Lewis, and as Sean quite rightly said, I run a company called Lemieux. We are performance-led e-commerce. And I'm here to talk about a very interesting subject that most people often disregard when they start thinking about websites and online presence. So most businesses actually believe that they want more sales, and they believe that in order to get more sales, they need to get more traffic. Yeah, because ultimately, the more people that hit the website, the more sales that they get. But it doesn't really work that way. So more traffic is always good, but more visitors and more clicks and more people coming to the website doesn't normally fix the problem, because ultimately it depends on the content of the website, but you can have hundreds or even thousands of visitors coming to your website and still not generate any consistent inquiries or sales. So what actually matters isn't just how many people land on the website. What actually matters is what happens after they arrive. So in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about 10 very simple ways that you can turn your visitors that you're already getting into actual revenue. Because more traffic doesn't just fix a broken system, it just exposes it. So most people assume that if their website isn't performing, they just need more traffic. But in most cases, that's not actually the problem. You can have hundreds or even thousands of visitors and still not generate a single inquiry of sale. And I'm sure deep down, a lot of us have either seen or have got websites that have this exact same problem. Most of the time, there's a conversion problem. Because ultimately, if you're getting over the space of a year, 4,000 visitors, and you're not getting a single lead, it's not a traffic problem, it's a conversion problem. So the first issue that they normally fall into is clarity. Visitors just don't understand what it is that you do. If someone lands on the site, they don't understand how you can help them or what you do. So they're gone at that stage. But even if they do understand, they're also asking, can I trust this business? If that's not clear, then they don't take the next step. And finally, if they are interested, sometimes the websites can just be too difficult or confusing, or it takes too long to act, and they just won't bother. So if you've got those problems, and again, this leads back to the conversion problem, more traffic just amplifies that issue. Pouring more people into the site is not going to fix those issues. You're just sending them to a system that just doesn't convert. So before I go any further, there's obviously a big question there. Why should you listen to me? For most of you, I know you, but for some of you, we are new faces. So just to give you a little bit of context, I've worked across e-commerce brands from fashion, beverages, alcohol, major UK charities. I was essentially responsible for the vast majority of e-commerce that sits behind charity sectors. So Macmillan, Great Ormond Street and Mind, we pretty much built their e-commerce solutions. Got a very extensive background in e-commerce and particularly online growth. So for example, one of the stores that I worked with went from around £350,000 a year to over £800,000 a year in annual revenue. Another started at around £300 a month and is currently sitting on £20,000 a month as of January 2026. But more importantly, these weren't just traffic increases. These aren't just sending more people to the stores. These are conversion increases. So we've got these stores converting at over 5%. Can you imagine having a website or a store where for every 100 customers that attend, you get 5 of those customers actually pay you? It's crazy, but it is possible. So everything I'm going to show you today comes from real world experience, not theory. These are the tips and the lessons that I put forwards. So let me show you what this actually looks like in practice. I have a client at the moment that I'm literally working with. In fact, 10 minutes before this, I was finishing up a design for him. He got 300 visitors a week, so 1,200 a month. He's had his website now for 5 years. He has never converted a single person. They've never gone through his contact form. They've never contacted him through the website. So we know traffic isn't the issue. He's got the visitors there. People are attending the website. The offer isn't the issue, because when you go on his website, he's got 200 5-star reviews. In fact, he's never had less than a 5-star review. So his offer works. He does networking, he does referrals, he always converts that way. But the website just doesn't convert. And ultimately, when you think about it, that's 300 missed opportunities every week. If you could get 1% conversion rate, you'd be converting 3 people to use your contact form, 3 potential new customers weekly. If I could say to everyone here, would you like to have 3 new customers a week contacting you, or potential customers? I don't think anyone here would be crazy enough to say no to that. So I've got a little task for you. Okay, you've got 5 seconds. I'm going to count down and then I'm going to go to the next slide. You've got 5 seconds to try and understand what this business does. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Did anyone get it? No. But at first glance, if we go back, this actually looks like a great website. The reason why is because if you put everything that was on that website into AI, or you mention it to a growth expert or to someone who knows about websites, it's ticking all the boxes. There's a strong headline. There's Trustpilot stars and reviews. There's professional imagery. There's call to action buttons. There's a unique selling point. There's free consultation offer. But none of it actually tells you what they do. There was one line in there, and I love this line. I've heard this line over and over and over again. We work with ambitious organizations to unlock their full potential. How many people have heard a line similar to that? Because I have. I hear it all the time. And guess what? That is how you can say absolutely nothing about your business in 10 words. It's crazy. Number 1, the top tip that most people fail starts with clarity. It's your value, your proposition, what it is that you can do for people. People seem to try and overcomplicate this. They try and make things difficult so that they sound very, very professional or expert or reliable. But the reality is, you don't need any of that. You grab the attention, because those 5 seconds that I give you, that's roughly how long people stay on your website before they give up. So if you can say exactly what you do, exactly who you help, and you can say the outcome in those 5 seconds, you stand a significantly higher chance of getting someone to stay on your website. When someone lands on your website, they should instantly understand those 3 things. Now, how you present them, that's how you make yourself different. But the message should always follow that same format. So, are we ready to try again? We've got 5 seconds. I'll count down. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Notice the difference? We can instantly, at that point, understand what they do. And if we're looking for business consultants, if we're looking for business consultants in Nottingham who can help us with the reliable service and increase our conversion. Well, we found them. We're more obligated to scroll at that point because we found what we want. Strategy number 2, you've got to make your CTA obvious. A lot of people play down their call to actions, their buttons, but tell them exactly what you want them to do. You can do this with a clear, visible button, but focus on your primary. Don't try and have too many buttons in there. Repeat that action across the page in logical stages and make it easy for people to convert. But more importantly, and this drives me nuts, I see buttons all the time which are get started, contact us. They don't mean anything. Everyone's got a contact us button. But you can use high substance actions. Do you own a social networking business that helps people get LinkedIn followers? Then your button that people should click should say boost your LinkedIn followers. Find new leads, grow your social media, meet new people, meet friendly connections. You can put anything that you want there, but giving them the action in the button, that's going to spur them on to actually make that click. If people don't know what to do next, they won't do anything. Number 3, this happens a lot. Reduce friction. You make the customer's life easy. We as humans are lazy by default. Yeah, even the most hard-working people, by default, we are lazy. We will naturally try and find quicker ways to do things. That's why we've got AI. That's why we've got new technology, because we're lazy. Look at the English language over the past 300-400 years. It is condensed massively because we don't even want to say words anymore. And your website is exactly the same. I was chatting with someone the other day, and I said, your contact form, there's like 20 things on there, and we started going through. And I said, okay, you're asking for a phone number. So when do you call them? Oh, I don't call them. Okay, but if there was a problem, would you call them? No, I never call anyone. So why would you ask for a phone number? The same for a newsletter. Someone said, I need a newsletter plugin. I need somewhere to have people subscribe. Okay, how often do you send out your newsletter? Oh, I never send out a newsletter, but I've heard it's good for SEO. Then don't have one. It's unnecessary. Remove those unnecessary decisions. Remember, the easier that it is, the more that people will complete it. Trust. Trust is a big one. Okay. As we said before, once your message is there and people understand what you do, you've got to start building that trust, and that comes instantly. Trust removes hesitation, but you have to build that through the website. The first thing is that you've got to include reviews and testimonials from real people. I have seen countless times AI-generated people that look absolutely fake, fake testimonials, fake images, stock images. They just do not look right. They look very fake. Use real people, real words, real images. The irony of this is I've not actually got an example that I can show you because of confidential data perspectives. So I am using fakes there. But people can tell the difference. How many times have people gone onto review websites and seen that the reviews on them look a little bit shifty? In fact, they don't really look reliable at all. And that's actually more of a deterrent at that stage. The other thing, how many of us know a LinkedIn member who works with billionaire brands and sold their first businesses for 1 million? God, they're everywhere, aren't they? But they're all fake, and we know they're fake. And the chances are we probably will never work with them people because we know that they're lying. And it works on your website too. Improve your page speed. This one probably does require a little bit of a web developer to be able to do, but there's nice ways to do it. But if it doesn't load when the web page is clicked, then it starts to kill conversion. If you remember our little 5-second rule that we had, that doesn't start when the page loads. That starts when the page is clicked. So if you're spending 2 to 3 seconds with your page loading, well, actually, at that stage, you've only got 2 to 3 seconds to be able to get your message across. But remember, if you optimize images, if you reduce heavy elements and remove the unnecessary clutter, then it will look cleaner and it will improve those conversions. A clear visual hierarchy. This really does make a difference. So at this stage, you've identified your message, but if people can't see the message, if it's too difficult to visualize, if the hierarchy isn't in place, then it's not really going to amount to anything. Remember that designs should guide attention. They shouldn't confuse it. During your design process, you need a clear visual hierarchy. The questions I always ask myself, I had a chap the other day who said, what questions do you ask when you're building? I only ask myself 2 questions when I build any section on a website. Does it serve its purpose? And how can I get them to convert or keep scrolling down? So make sure that your key information stands out, like primary buttons are visible, your information is easy to see, guide the customer. There's no point having your main offer or your main message or benefit tucked away in a corner where no one could see it. Scream and shout about it. Remember the previous example, and just remember that a few changes, even shortening text and reducing everything and increasing the amount of gap, removing elements, they can go a long way. So remember your flow. This is kind of dependent upon which industry you're in, but everyone always has an objection. Whenever you try to convert someone, there's always going to be something that they think about. There's always going to be a question that they want answering. There's always going to be something that they need to be put in front of them so that they can feel more reliable. So answer that. Whether those are financial, whether those are industry-based, whether they're even ethical objections, you should look towards addressing those ASAP with minimal effort. How many times when you buy a product do you see that it is environmentally friendly? That's because people ask for those things. So they display it very clear in places that you can see. I'm working with a currency exchange specialist at the moment, and I said to him during our pre-projects, what's the number one thing that people always ask you? Is my money going to be safe? So as we're designing and building this website, guess what we've got pretty high up on the website? Your money is safe with us. Sounds simple, but people don't do it. Guarantees, if you've got any guarantees, are a great way of reassuring security. How many of us have actually bought an appliance and not bought the other appliance because the guarantee on it, one of them gave 1 year, whereas the other one gave 10 years? It does make a difference. In fact, that's the reason I'm driving my car, is because I've got a 5-year guarantee on it. So remember, handle the customer doubts before they stop the sale. And if a client fails to convert and they're not converting, go and ask them why. Go and find out why they've not actually converted and address it early on. Urgency. Urgency can be so useful, but it can also be a killer if you don't do it the right way. Urgency can spur people to make a decision if they have to, because they feel like they might miss out. But without urgency, people can delay. But we can use things like limited availability, time-sensitive offers, and clear deadlines that give customers that little nudge that they need to convert. But be careful, because a limited available offer that's always available can be negative. Great example of this is how many of us check Amazon on Black Friday? Because I do. I always go on, regardless. And you know what I see every single time, and everyone knows this? The Black Friday deals are exactly the same as the summer deals, which are exactly the same as the Easter deals, which are exactly the same as the... So I know full well if I want to get the best deal, I just need to wait a month. That's it. But if they're always on, people won't have that urgency. Optimize for mobile. I'm sure every single person that's looked into websites has taken a look into this, but it really is a big, big, big factor. 60%, in fact, over 60% of your traffic will come from mobile devices. And that number is increasing at this stage. It is not going down. We increased a e-commerce store their conversion rate by 2%. Which doesn't sound like much, but they were on a 3% conversion rate. All we did was we fixed their mobile process and we just put in some very simple navigation. But when you think about it, 2% conversion rate increase, such a small number, but that's 2 more customers out of every 100 that are now going and buying something. That's 20 out of every 1,000. It's 200 out of every 10,000. So over time, that 2% really does make a big difference. And for them, that 2% was actually worth about 250,000. So remember, on mobile, large buttons, shorter content, easier navigation. That's the struggle. You've got to shorten the content. You've got to make it easy. Most users are now on mobile, so make sure that you design for it. Finally, remember to match your messaging with the content and the traffic. The closer the match, the higher chance you've got of converting. Because ultimately, people are going to find you. They are going to be able to find your website. They are going to be able to find where you are and what you do. So you have to make sure that the messaging on your website aligns to that. If you're selling window repairs, make sure that your message aligns to window repairs. Nottinghamshire's #1 window repair company. We can fix your windows for the best price possible. Our windows have a 5-year guarantee. Those are the kinds of messages. But if someone's looking for window repair and they rock up to your website and they see a title that says, our window's great with doors, they're not going to know what on earth you're talking about at that stage. The message becomes too diluted. So remember, explain the why, explain what, and explain the how, but also align it to your customer. If you're a company with multiple services that have different services, such as, so me, for example, from an e-commerce perspective, I have performance reviews, I have site audits, I have conversion rate, I've got lots of different services. Then I have different pages for those services. That helps drive SEO, increase conversion, and it allows you to stay relevant. So if you are a window company that provides doors, have a page for doors. There's no harm in it. People will find it. And make sure that you tailor your landing pages to capture the attention for the relevant traffic. So there's 10 simple ways that you can start improving your conversion rate. Now, the trick is you don't need all 10 of them. People kind of see things like this and they start changing everything and right, we've got to optimize, etc. You don't need to do all that. Fixing just 2 or 3 of them can start to receive those results. I would say especially messaging and call to actions. The first 2 are quite important. Now, a key takeaway from all this is when I say that you don't need more traffic to grow, I do mean that. Traffic, if your website is getting a 0% conversion rate, having 20 million people hit your website is still going to result in no sales. But ultimately, once you start to hit that 1, 2, 3% and you start to convert and you get a conversion rate because you fixed the problems, that's when you can start pushing in traffic. So if you know that for every 100 customers, you're going to get 5 people that convert, you can then manage your budget from a marketing perspective and you can start pushing more and more into it. And that's where marketing really kicks off. Because if you know that 5 customers will net you £1,000 and that you get 100 visitors, well, spend £500 to get 10,000 visitors and rake in the rewards. And that's the trick. That's how web development works. The first step is getting the conversion. And then after, you can push and push and push. So, thank you very much for your time. Is there any questions?
Certainly, if I can just interact there, Lewis, firstly, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. Really clear, concise, and some really good tips there. I must admit, I loved your 5-second look at the 2 different websites. It's so true, isn't it? How we think I think sometimes we overthink because we overthink it, we put too much in and no one really can see it. See what we do, what the actual website's about, and it's so true. I mean, the patience of somebody on the looking for information is obviously dwindled if the website is too wordy or it's too clunky and it's not really, there's no call to action or understanding of what those first few seconds of landing on it, what that organisation does. So yeah, some real key tips there, and thank you very much. I was really that was really impressive to get a handle on your expertise and how you can convert those who are using websites and using, having a website built, whether it's already built or whatever, how to make some improvements on them as well. So thank you so much for sharing some really useful tips and tricks there. If you want to just undo your share screen, and I can then see everybody on the call.
Yep.
I'm going to stop the recording. For those listening in, thank you for joining us, and obviously here at the Simply Tech Talk Hour, and we'll look forward to having somebody else next month come and present. But for now, a big thank you to Lewis Hallam from Lemieux. Thank you very much, mate. Very, very
Thank you.
appreciated. Let me stop the recording.